Before we get started with today's podcast, we'd like to ask returning listeners to leave us a rating or review on your favorite podcast platform, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really enjoy it, share a link to this podcast with friends or family who would enjoy hearing our weekly discussions about basketball and basketball culture. Now, on to the show.
Yeah, isn't it amazing when Michigan can keep this game to a 19-foot, 9-inch game inside that three-point line? It's all there. Nice move by Steve Fisher here. Bring it into the 19-9.
Welcome to the 99 podcast. I'm Josh Barnett, and I am here with another member of the HBS crew, Big Dan Woods. What's up, Dan?
What's up, man?
And then today we're joined by two special guests. We got our guy, Ian Stonebrook, who is back.
How's it going, guys?
What's up with you? And then we have another special guest. He brought his buddy from ESPN, Nick DePaula. How you doing, Nick?
Doing great.
Appreciate you guys taking the time to join. This has been a flawless start to this thing, and no tech issues whatsoever. But we're all here. I appreciate you guys taking the time, and we're going to get into it. But before we do, I got to do a read-in real quick for our sponsor, which is AZip Pizza, our favorite build-your-own pizza place in Indiana and Kentucky. They have unique pizzas each month, like White Lightning and Alabama White Barbecue Pizza, and a ton of ingredients you can choose from to create something delicious on your own. Find the location nearest to you or order online for curbside delivery at azip.com/order. Dan, you had that the White Lightning yet?
I believe I had it a couple years ago.
I was about to ask what a White Lightning entails. That sounds outstanding.
All I know is it has white barbecue sauce is the pizza sauce.
Wow.
And then it's like hot grilled chicken.
Yeah.
And jalapenos, I think.
It's pretty good.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll have a couple down here next week for the last dance. I'll send you guys pictures.
It's an invite if you guys want to fly in too.
Yeah, that's not on 99's budget though, just so we're all clear. All right, so let's get to the concept of the draft. Ian, you and I kind of came up with this. You want to take a stab at how this thing came to be so I can stop talking for a little bit?
Yes. Well, I mean, for what it's worth, I was in the court getting my 100 makes in for the day when the pre-draft documents and guidelines were sent. So I only eyeballed them. But yeah, essentially it's a sneaker draft. So we're talking about some of the most important sneakers in college basketball history. We're tying them to some of the most stylish figures who wore them. Obviously, 1909, rich in basketball history and basketball short history. So the uniforms that are worn with these sneakers, one could argue are just as or more important than the shoes picked. And fortunately, I have the first pick, so I'm feeling pretty good about it.
You want to talk about how you got that first pick?
Yes. The last time Nick and I played 21 in Austin, Texas. To be fair, Nick did beat me 3-2 the time before that, but
I part of the story. Okay,
I had a revised game plan for the rematch.
By the way,
what'd you say?
Whose team won the whole night at pickup too?
Well, I mean, to be fair, you had Jason Maxiell and Doug Christie, man. Your roster was a little different. Once Maxiell traded rosters, I don't remember losing.
I forgot. Okay, that's an interesting answer. Okay.
So you guys play with a little bit richer talent history than what we're used to here in Evansville, where I would throw out names like Burf and Charlie as the guys that I play with, and you're out there. Hey, no disrespect to Burf and Charlie, though. I know you guys are listening. No disrespect whatsoever. So let's get into the particulars of the draft before we get started here. So each of us take turns, like Ian said, drafting. We're going to do a snake draft. So it's going to start with Ian for the 21 game, and then it's going to go to our guest Nick because he's our guest, and we got him from ESPN, and we have no idea how the hell we were able to do that. Mainly Ian.
Yeah,
He must. Nick, you must be bored shitless, man.
Around waiting for the last dance.
And then we'll go to Dan because I'm nice and I love Big Dan, and then it'll come to me. But we'll each take a turn drafting a shoe from college basketball history. We have to define the colorway, right? So if you're going to pick the 96 up tempos, you can't have them across the board. You got to associate them with a colorway, with a team, with a year, with a player, so on and so forth. And once that shoe model is off the board, once it's been picked, it's off the board. So Nick can't take like John Wallace in the black 96 up tempos and then me come along and take the obsidian ones in with Ray Allen, if that makes sense.
Yep.
School can only be drafted. We were talking a little bit off air about this. School can only be picked twice. So Dan and Ian were going back and forth about UConn and kind of their sneaker history. And we could probably do an entire draft just based on UConn, Arizona, Duke, Carolina, etc. So you get 2 shots at those schools, and then they're off the board too. So something that we need to keep track of. Questions, concerns?
Let's go.
Yeah.
You're up, Ian.
All right. Well, with the first pick in the 2020 19-9 sneaker draft, I'm selecting the Air Jordan 11 Concord, and I'm tying it to Allen Iverson. Truth be told, this is second on my draft board. I just knew Nick would really want it, as I'm sure the other guys on the team did. So sometimes you have to stack assets. I'm willing to sign and trade if something else on my draft board is taken. But, man, I mean, at the end of the day, I think everybody on this pod has wanted the shoe or had it. And that looking down on your feet and having that shoe, there's nothing else like it. I mean, there's other shoes that I might personally like more, but having Concords on your feet is a pretty special feeling. And the Georgetown jerseys from Iverson's sophomore year are second to none.
I got a question for the group, and Nick, I'll throw it to you first. Does Iverson make those Jordan 11s as iconic as Jordan of himself?
Yes, but back then you kind of watched Michael every game, and you didn't really see AI on TV if you were on the West Coast. Like, you probably saw him 3 games. I think if it was in social media era, then I would think he'd be right there with him. My favorite part about the 11s is the flight turbulence that came out the next year. If AI signed with Nike, that was supposed to be his signature shoe. So
Really?
they pulled the patent leather from the 11s, knowing that he wore the 11s in college and liked the patent. And so Gentry Humphrey, who's with Jordan Brand, he told me back in the day, he was like, we were going to call him the Air Bubba Chuck. It was going to be his first shoe, all that. So I was, man, what a cool what if. Obviously didn't happen. He picked Reebok, but yeah, I think for AI, it's like the way up was cool, and then the 11s was amazing to see him in those.
And they just fit the uniform so crazy good too, yeah. And the ankle braces that he wore, and it's just like the whole shit just tied together, so nice.
Yeah.
Except for the cutoff underneath it, that was like a 2XL.
Had daggers going out the. The cutoffs did not age well, but also there's something to be said about like having your boy that's had 8 beers cut it and cut the shit out of it, jagged and stuff, as opposed to like a clean, like nice tailored cut looked a little bit better. And Iverson,
a little too wide with a little jagged.
100%. I'm glad we can all agree on that, if nothing else during this pod. All right, Nick, you're up.
All right. So with the second overall pick, that's a good first pick, Ian. I'm going to go with the Foam Posit one of the best 5 shoes of all time, which was debuted by Mike Bibby before Penny Hardaway at Arizona. They also won the tournament that entire year. So for me, that's the easy one. Like one of my favorite sneakers of all time, best colorway, and then also they won the whole thing. So that's what could be better than that.
So that was actually number 1 on my draft board. I was hoping somehow it'd slide. The irony in this is that Nick was actually Allen Iverson for Halloween as a young adult.
I got the jagged cutoff too.
Yeah. Funny thing is, when I was in 5th grade, I was Mike Bibby for Halloween.
Yes.
And it was all on the hope that my mom would get me the jersey and the Foam Posits because of it.
Like, Mom, it's Halloween. I need this shit to complete the fit.
Yeah.
So I think I'm in the minority here. The Foam Posits don't make my top 12.
Ooh.
They're just not.
That's good taste. It's all good.
It's never been a shoe I've actually loved, and I don't know why. I don't love them, but I understand the history behind it. Like, I respect that, but it's just not for me.
Look at it and it's awesome. That's the key factor for me.
Well, wasn't it, Nick, you could probably correct me, or Ian, you could probably correct me on this, but wasn't it Nike's first $200 shoe, or it was like 180, 200 when it first came out, right?
180, yep.
Right. And I remember that just being like fucking bananas for the time.
I mean, even 150 was crazy, but there was nothing even 160, 170. So the kind of step to 180 was nuts. I mean, it was crazy.
It was crazy.
It would have been a lot of years before, but were the original Command Forces or Air Pressures in that same category of like original retail?
I think they were 140, 150.
Oh, wow.
I just remember 180 just jumping off the rack at you. Like, I mean, even people that had money were like, this is crazy.
Well, because it was basically 200 after tax. So it was just like, that's what took it to a crazy spot. I mean, 100 was one thing. Like, I had a $50 budget in high school and 40 in middle school, so I knew not to ask. But it was one of those things where, like, asking for 100 is one thing, and then all of a sudden they were basically 200 after tax. It was crazy.
I remember holding them in my hand at Circle Center Mall in Indianapolis in like a finish line and just like bending them and like playing with them and fucking them up basically. And I'm like, these things are incredible. But for me, it was more the tie-in to Bibby. You know, it wasn't just necessarily the aesthetics of the shoe, which were dope, but like for me in Evansville, Indiana, trying to pull that shit off in middle school, early high school with some jeans. Maybe not, but the whole like Bibby drawl of out there hooping in them and then beating Kentucky, and he was a point guard and all that stuff was like, I need these, but I didn't get them. Too expensive. All right, Daniel.
All right, this is my number 2 on the board, and this is the easiest pick for me. Air Force Max 93. I'm a Michigan fan.
Fab Five, baby.
Through and through. Fab Five is as iconic as it gets in college basketball. The maize uniforms with the long shorts, tall black socks. It's as good as it gets from me. I'm a diehard Michigan fan. I was 7 years old when they played in the national championship, and that's where my fanhood comes from, Michigan. So that's an easy one for me.
You can't go wrong with the Fab Five.
No.
I'm about to pick them in the next 2 picks again, though.
No.
And we're just going to take Michigan right off the board. Oh. Go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
No, I was going to say you only could get them once because you can only pick the school twice, right?
You can only pick the school twice, but that's just Michigan.
Oh, see, okay.
Right?
I thought you were saying you were going to pick the Fab Five twice.
I'm going to take the Fab Five. I'm not taking those shoes, though.
Oh, all right.
Does that make sense? Is there already a dispute in the draft? I haven't even picked yet.
I thought you could only pick the same school twice.
You can't. Has anybody else picked Michigan?
No, but you were saying that you had the Michigan on your board twice more, which would be total, yeah.
I'm confused.
Josh is an idiot. Well,
yeah, I'm not smart, as you guys can tell.
All right, go for it.
Fantastic segue to the 4th pick.
4th pick is no brainer. Greatest college basketball sneaker of all time is 96 up tempos. They were worn across the board. I honestly, and you sneaker guys can correct me if I'm wrong again. But I don't remember a shoe taking over college basketball quite like the 96 up tempos. They were everywhere. And even if you just look back at the 96 Final Four, literally every team except Kentucky that was in it had multiple players laced in it. But for my money, I'm going with Damon Flint out of Cincinnati wearing the Pippen colorway with the black toe and then the red swoosh on the up tempos. Those were my all-time favorites.
Damn.
Good one.
It's a solid pick.
But that's your all-time favorite shoe in general, right? Though basketball shoe.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I
first overall pick.
Yeah, that was first on my board. But I think if we were drafting off versatility or if we were drafting off impact or how many teams actually wore it, the up tempo would almost be second to none unless you went with like the Dunks or something like that from back in the day when everybody could only choose from 3 different shoe models, you know.
Did you get the white red when they just came back out?
What's that?
Did you get the white black reds when they just came back out?
No, I didn't. I missed on them. Yeah. But I'm looking at 3 of the pairs that I plan on drafting right across from me right now. The The up tempos are sitting over there, and they look like they're happy that I drafted them. I couldn't let them down. I was nervous, man. I was real nervous. All right, so I'll go with the 5th pick, right? Because the snake draft, and then it goes back to Dan.
Yes.
This is going to be the disputed pick because I'm too dumb to understand what the argument is of not taking Michigan again. But the Huaraches, 92 Huaraches. So to me, that was the shoe that was associated most with the Fab Five. It also had some crazy versatility too, because you had Pippen wearing them in his All-Star game in 92. You had Laettner at Duke that wore them, Cherokee Parks. Those dudes wore them. But to me, it was Jalen Rose, Chris Webber, Fab Five, Huaraches, shoe on the side without an ankle support type thing that made all the moms freak out and wonder if they could buy them for their kids to play basketball in. And they are also sitting across from me right now, and happy to have them on the squad. Thoughts?
Easy pick. Great pick.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's definitely a toss-up, Huarache and Air Force Max in terms of best Michigan shoe all time. I probably like the Air Force Max more.
I would say Huarache is the Michigan shoe for sure. But
something about the Air Force Max with the black socks.
Like black socks is the part that carries the Air Force Max.
For sure.
Yeah. I actually had the Air Force Max in the blue in high school, and it was one of my favorite shoes all time. But which is crazy because if you think the blue would actually go with the Mays Michigan uniforms better than the black did, but the black socks is not going to go with it.
Yep.
All right, Dan, you're up, bud.
God, this is a tough pick, I think.
Not really. Just say a shoe and then just pick it.
I'm going to go Taxi 12s. Kenyon Martin, Cincinnati Bearcats.
Oh, so since he comes off the board early.
And I know that you like the Cincinnati shorts from before Kenyon Martin, but the iconic black shorts going up the sides is
the Jordan brand. Cat scratch.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best and most duplicated uniforms for lower tier high school and middle school from there. And the Taxi 12s are just like, it's just what they are. Kenyon Martin could go a couple times too on this draft, I think.
Man, my 14th on my board, Steve Logan. I got to take him off now.
Steve Logan. Love Steve Logan.
I was digging deep.
So to get back to your point on the shorts matching up with the shoes. So it seems like everybody's favorite Cincinnati shorts are those cat scratch Jordan when they went Jordan brand and all that stuff. And they had the C logo on the butt, and then the Jordan brand logo on the front. And so if we're ever able are fortunate enough to get Cincinnati, everybody's going to hate me because I'm going to come out with those 95, 96 Flint Fortson ones before I do this cat scratch. And I'm going to catch a lot of shit, and I'm going to take it all with a smile because I'm going to be happy as hell that I have a pair of the 95, 96s.
I mean, it's a toss up, but I do think at least for my age, that cat scratch short is, it's undeniable. I think it's for sure for that era the best. I mean, Syracuse in that era that's the thing. That short, like Dan said, it defined that time, and it wasn't necessarily rooted in anything else. Like the great Arizona or Syracuse shorts in that era still evolved from previous iterations. Duke the same, UConn even to a degree too. But that cat scratch is like. It's signature, and it's Jordan brand, So.
You know what would be fun? I'm gonna hijack your pick here for a sec, Dan. Sorry, and put you on a little bit more of a hold, Nick, for the next pick. But I always thought, when I think of Kenyon Martin, I think of Cincinnati. I think of the injury and how fucked they were when he broke his leg right before the NCAA tournament. So I always wanted to do a pod, and I just got to have some time to go back and dig through and look at all the injuries that potentially affected the national champion from that year and just compile a list and just go through and talk about it. Scott May in 75 with IU, Kenyon Martin, obviously, and go through that stuff. But I think that would be fun. So Dan, write that down.
You got it.
Thanks, brother. All right, Nick, you're up.
All right. So this is the 7th pick?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yep. All right. So 7th pick, I'm going to take a obscure pick. Patrick Christopher from Cal Berkeley, when he wore the Live Strong Kobe 4s, all yellow, only 10 pairs made. They were a size 14. They made 2 and a 14. The other one was for Kobe. And then that game, Cal won the Pac-10 title for the first time in 50 years. It was a pretty awesome moment. So that's my pick.
So this is why we brought him.
I gotta be honest. I feel like you're showing off.
Well, it's a long story, but Nike gave us the pair to shoot, and then I sent them overnight to Pat. So I kind of gave them to him as one of my good friends.
Oh, there you go.
Pick. But if you've ever seen that shoe, it's like that was before like the flooded color stuff. So it's just the all yellow patent leather Kobe 4, and they looked crazy on him in that game. The very first like 90 seconds of the game, the TV crew did like a close up pan. It was pretty cool. So it's just a really rare one for sure.
Yeah, that's dope.
Didn't make my board, by the
way. So Cal used to have some crazy good uniforms too, because they were Jordan. They were one of the first Jordan brand schools also.
So he was deciding between Texas and Kentucky, and then picked Cal because they were Jordan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's
hilarious. So we tried to bring back the Tony Gonzalez Cal shorts just like a month ago. And they wouldn't let us do it because the Cal Jordan logo is something that they want to distance from now that they're Under Armour. Yeah, but the shorts were sick, but whatever. We'll bring those Jason kids back for everybody that's listening and asking me. So they'll be back soon. Best I can do. All right, Ian.
All right. Well, I had Pat Christopher on my board as well for the Tour Yellow 4s. Nick actually introduced me to Pat, and I did this thing, March Madness memories that I did with like him, Bibby, Dick
Daniel Ewing, the Daniel Ewing one. Remember we talked about that one?
Keith Langford. And that was for sure the longest interview I've ever done in my life. It was also the most awesome. Like Pat is the best, but it's like
Pat called me last Saturday. It was a 3-hour phone call. Ridiculous.
So, I had Pat on my board, but I'm going to keep it in the Pac-10, and I'm going to select Gilbert Arenas in the Nike Air Flight 89 in patent leather. One of my all-time favorite players, one of my all-time favorite shoes.
Black patent leather?
Yes. That's a shoe, too, that like DeJuan Wagner wore in high school. That like was...
It's a shoe I wore in high school.
It's more famous for that, I would assume.
Probably for DeJuan scoring 100 points in them.
No, I think it's you. You got him. You edged him out.
But yeah, and I mean, I'm just with
Arizona's off the board now.
Yeah, it was kind of a defensive pick too. So there'll be no Stanley Johnson or there'll be no Eugene Edgerson, which is the biggest shame.
No doubt. At least you got to mention him in the pod though. He deserved that.
Absolutely.
All right, but Ian, you're up again though.
Oh, that's how this goes?
Yeah, snake draft.
That's the format that we discussed.
All right. Well,
hey, numerous times.
We've also already been doing that format so far, by the way.
A couple rounds now, actually.
What time zone are we in? So my third pick should come no surprise to you guys. It is the Adidas KB8 Tennessee PE as worn by Shamik Oldsklock.
Nice. Wow. I love it.
There's a Shamiqua Pro model that she wrote on, and she like would misspell stuff and then cross it out and then like write. It's just it's the most disastrous shoe I've ever seen with scribbling on it.
More so than that McCants?
Their feet too. I'll find them, and they're worse than the McCants pair. Yeah. All right, so white orange KB8. I like that pick. That's a good pick.
Well, Tennessee women had that kind of dope accent color too of the baby blue that went along with the orange and stuff. And I know like a couple years ago, there was a big uproar because Tennessee was kind of changing everything over to the Power T and trying to lose the Lady Vols logo and that accent color. And people were like, yeah, no, fuck that. We're not doing that. We're going to keep that. Solid pick. Nick, you're up.
All right, I have. You know what? I don't know if I want to go with this pick because I don't actually like this team. I just realized.
Don't do it then. Pick a different one.
Third seed, pick 2 pairs of foam posits too. All right, I'm gonna go with Mike Miller and the black and blue fade Garnet 3s. Florida.
That was number 5 on my board.
Ooh, that was a strategic pick because I didn't think it was going to come back around for other picks. And then I think it was also Donnell Harvey in them.
Yep.
And there's a photo of like a zoom out of them celebrating, and there's like probably 7-8 guys wearing them.
Well, because they made a crazy run to the Final Four that year wearing them.
Yeah, they're incredible. And so that was I got that shoe and wore them the following year. Our team colors were white and crimson. So they looked ridiculous, but I was a huge KG guy. Still wear a rubber band on my wrist to this day because of the Kicks cover. And I love that black blue Garnet 3. So that's my pick for sure.
Was that the Nike commercial where they were doing jumping off the diving boards?
That was the Vroomlicious and Flight Positive.
Which, ironically enough, are kind of like a bridge between those two shoes.
Yeah. They had the same idea with the blue fade mesh coming out of those. Yeah.
I actually had those shoes and I had Dunleavy wore them with Duke in '99, which was actually my list. It was on my list because I always think Duke's hard to get iconic shoes with, and I thought Dunleavy having them early was a pretty cool thing. But that's
the Duke shoe that sticks out to me always is Trajan Langdon with the first heel max up tempos.
Up tempo. Yep.
The MZ3 was sick. The white, black, blue MZ3 looks great with those shorts.
For sure. The book Soul Provider by Scoop has a whole 2-page feature on the Langdon, Trajan Langdon up tempo shoes. So the Garnett stands out to me. I wanted that on my squad because I too love Garnett, and then that Florida run. But I'll never forget my mom bought me a pair of the white and blue colorway, the first colorway that came out, right after I got a 1.9 at my first semester at IU. And like I talked her into it because I'm like, Mom, like I'm playing a lot of basketball up there. Like I really need these things. And she was not.
It was a great hoop shoe.
Phenomenal. Yeah. So I think during college I had those that I bought in nonstop at the Hyper, and then I had the Pippen 3s, the all black Pippen 3s that I traded some Cal Jordan shorts actually for the Pippen 3s. So then that was another great shoe.
Pippen 3s for $70 at Big 5. That was my sophomore shoe.
Oh shit! I got a pair of Pippen 2s over there that I got for like $40 at an outlet, 10 years ago or whatever it was. But
crazy thing about the Garnet 3, I don't know if you guys know this. It was supposed to be the Penny 5.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then Penny was getting hurt, and they decided to end his line at the 4. And then that was like when KG's like, he was at the end of that Nike deal. So they were like, we'll give you this shoe instead. Because I don't know if you remember, but he had the Garnet 1, and then there was like that weird gap. There's not really a Garnet 2 because they scrapped that one shoe. And then the Garnet 3 was supposed to be Penny 5. So it's crazy.
Yeah, that is wild. All right, Dan, you up?
Yeah. It's a tough pick.
No, none of this is tough. There's nothing on the line here. Maybe next time when we do it, we'll put something on the line.
All right. I'm going to go 1995 Air Max up tempo, Tim Duncan.
Ooh. That's the model. Wait.
Which ones?
The ones you're picking from Cincinnati?
No, the ones after that.
Oh, the teardrop joints.
With the
yes.
That's the Max. Yeah, 97.
97.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, those are great. That's a great shoe.
That would have been a sick shoe to do in a Wake Forest colorway too.
Dan, did you just order some food?
My wife came and brought my charger. That's when you know it's love.
I was actually hoping that was a pizza for real, though, because you're only 2 rooms over from me.
And you guys got pizza coming tonight.
All right, explain your pick, man.
I just went back through like the mid 90s, mid to late 90s for me is like the best basketball thing. And
what high school is everybody here, by the way?
I'm an 04 graduate.
Dan's a young buck.
Okay.
I'm the old head. I'm 99.
I was 03, and Ian, what were you, 05?
06.
06, okay. Yeah, all right.
I just remember those being a shoe that I wanted my whole, like when I was in, because I wore the Jason Kids the year before, the Zoom, and then I wanted those, and my mom would never pull the trigger on them. And if you go back and look, like Duncan, for his kind of not flashy as he is, he actually wore some good stuff at Wake Forest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Those Wake uniforms are awesome too. Slam voted those Wake uniforms that the gold ones that we just came out with. They voted them top 20 uniforms of all time in their college basketball issue last year. So yeah, no, that's a solid pick, man. All right, I'm gonna go. These are bland, but I loved them. I had them when I was growing up playing like youth basketball, and then Penny wore them at Memphis State. They're the original Converse Reacts. Just the all black, and they just said Cons and stitching on the side. Then they had the gel React thing on the back, which was a whole new phenomenon. And then my favorite part was like the white bottoms, because you could just barely see like a thin line of white across the bottom of them, wearing them. And for the longest time, I could never find a picture of them when I was trying to tell people like, no, one of my favorite basketball shoes ever is these Con Reacts. Like there's nothing to them. They're just black. I'm like, there's no pictures of them. And I went back maybe 5 years ago. I went back through my basketball card collection, and I saw that I had like this jumbo card, a Penny classic card. If you guys remember the classic cards from back in the day. And he was wearing them, and I have it sitting up on like my mantle now, so I can just grab and be like, these motherfuckers, these are the shoes I'm talking about.
That was the one right before the Accelerate?
Yes. Yeah. So this was just like there was literally nothing to it, but I remember being in gym class in middle school and like poking the back of them with a pencil and, squirting the shit out and seeing like, oh, what is this stuff? Like, and just playing with them. But I played a lot of basketball in them, and then Penny wore them at Memphis State. And obviously we love Penny in Memphis State too. So that's the route I had to go.
Well, and to tie it full circle, in terms of this being about college sports, you poking those shoes in gym class kind of foreshadowed your freshman year GPA in college and playing a lot of ball. So,
right. I mean, I'm pretty simple when it comes down to it, man. All right, so I'm gonna go with my my next pick, and I know that there's been some back and forth text on our chain together about this player, and but we never really revealed the shoe. But it's time for Matt Barnes to make an appearance on this list. And I'm going 2002 UCLA with the T-Mac 1s is where I'm going with Matt Barnes. So the T-Mac 1s is the third pair of shoes that I have sitting across from me down here at HQ in the pod room. And I played a lot of basketball in those things in college too. Great basketball shoe. I loved it. Still love it to this day. And they just look dope, because they didn't really even match with UCLA's uniforms. But UCLA has some of the most classic uniforms of all time, with the baby blue and all that. And then you throw in a pretty good team in 2002 and Barnes, pretty good player, wearing them. It just all made sense to me. And I had to get the T-Mac 1. So that's like an all-time top 3 for me.
I like it.
It's a solid pick.
Apparently not, when all we can come up with is I like it and solid pick. That's when you fucked up in the
Hey, I did because of sneakers once go out to some bars in Huntington Beach with Matt Barnes' little brother and his girlfriend, who was in town for his son's AAU tournament. So
there we go.
So UCLA's weird in shoes, because they were Reebok for a long time.
Opie Bailey, Ed O'Bannon.
Which is on my list, but I won't pull the trigger on it.
Well, they wore those crazy Reeboks, though. They had like the zigzag stripe on them in those days.
O'Bannon's, there's a couple where O'Bannon's in the pumps, by the way, too.
I was thinking pumps for this, and nothing jumped out. And then too much other stuff like jumped out for me to go pumps.
It's way down there on mine for that. But the Reebok, and they've just jumped so many different brands. They've never been loyal to a brand for a long time, too, which is kind of crazy.
Well, Under Armour's paying that a lot right now.
A lot.
Very much so.
All right, who's to go back to then, Nick?
Dan's pick, his fourth pick.
Josh, did you go 2 there?
Oh, yeah. I just went 2. I'm sorry. Dan, it's you.
All right. I'm going to go, God, I'm torn.
You're supposed to be thinking about this shit as the other person's talking about their.
Well, you wanted a better answer than hey, good pick. So I had to get off.
You use all your brain power trying to come up with a couple more sentences for my pick.
You got it. All right, I'm gonna go Penny 1s.
Ooh.
Oh,
UMass Marcus Camby.
Okay.
You got a pick of that?
I do.
Distinct window. He's picking from here.
Yes.
That's a crazy good pick, though. But I thought you were going to go like UConn with it.
I thought you were going to say Corey Brewer.
Oh, right.
No, there's a Marcus Camby's in a black. I think it's his freshman year. He's in a black with the white. What?
I think I don't think those are the penny ones, dude.
Are you thinking layups?
That's what I'm thinking.
You might be thinking layups.
I might be off, but it looks from the front because that's what it is.
But you know, we launched the Camby shorts, right? And I think I've seen every picture of Marcus Camby on the entire internet in those UMass shorts. But that would have been later on too. I'll give you that. That would have been later on in his career. You're gonna have to provide some video or photo evidence, Dan.
Hold on.
Yeah, a fake pick could cost you guys the pizza.
You can't fake pick this shit, Dan. Come on.
I'm not fake picking it. God dang it! Now you're gonna get me. Okay, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take a different pick because I don't.
Let's take them off the board because we don't want this to just all be discredited off of your one dumbass pick.
Pick rescinded.
All right, pick rescinded. I'm gonna go to my next one. I'll go this route. I'll go penny twos. Rip Hamilton.
There you go.
Safe pick.
White Atlantic.
Yes.
Good.
So, and I'm going to stop talking because I'm going to do research so I don't look like the biggest idiot on this pod now.
So those penny two Atlantics, I got off Flight Club back when Flight Club was not so well known as it is now. And I got them for like $80 or something on the website. And then like we were just out in New York last month or 2 months ago and went into Flight Club, picked up those same Atlantic twos, and it was like they were like $325 or something. So Flight Club has come up a little bit since those days.
Jeez.
My Atlantic blue penny twos actually just fell apart in the last few weeks.
What size are you, Ian?
11.
Oh shit! I got a 10. I think I have a 10.5 down here. I'd send it to you.
It was actually while filming commercial for 19.9's Villanova shorts. I was shooting in the rain, and the grip on the penny two sole and the rubber outdoor NBA street basketball were phenomenal when soaking wet. But unfortunately, my shoes did not survive the storm. So now they're just dissected and going to be a hybrid shoe.
We'll make it up to you. We'll send you some more shorts so you can keep shooting those commercials.
Sounds good. I'll take pizza too by that.
You're gonna have to come to Evansville to get that pizza, buddy.
All right, and we're doing 5 picks, right?
Yeah. How many are we in? I don't even know. 4?
Yes.
Yeah.
Round.
This is my 4th. Yep.
Okay.
So I've been tracking all this along the way here. So
Okay.
all right, I'm gonna pick a strategic pick because I think this is Ian's next pick. So I want to make sure I get it in before it comes back around. And it's going to be the white and green toed Reebok Questions as worn by Mateen Cleaves.
Yeah.
I got him on the list too.
Ew.
That's a solid pick. I do have Mateen on my board. Actually, what's crazy is going to MSU basketball camp and like eating lunch with Mateen Cleaves back when he was wearing those. Super nice dude. Jordan Hallenstein, our good friend who works for the Spurs, was telling us that when Mateen was at the national championship parade, he wore white and green Air Jordan 15s, like the team banks that never release. And I found a bunch of pictures on the Lansing State Journal website of him wearing them. And he had a sprained ankle in that championship game.
Yep.
If anyone has ever tried to put on Air Jordan 15s with unsprained ankles, although my cousin Ty will let you know that I have cankles because I couldn't get his 18.5s on at Christmas one year. It's an awesome shoe, but a really difficult shoe to put on. So the fact that he did that flex to wear basically team bank Jordans that probably nobody else in the world at that time had, because unless North Carolina A&T got sent pairs, was a pretty big deal.
The question wasn't such a great shoe though. I mean, it's just they're getting ready to release that another pair that has kind of like that wheat or khaki color on the toe. That's pretty dope too. So I might pick up one of those.
I wore those first day 8th grade.
What's that, Nick?
The low tops, right? The oatmeals.
Yes, love those.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It was either 7th or 8th grade. I wore that the first day of school, and I wore it with a Abercrombie and Fitch T-shirt. It was a fire look.
Did you have puka shells, or can I judge you forever?
No, I never wore puka shells.
That's one of my proudest moments. I've never had puka shells either.
There's a lot of things we're not proud of, but that is one thing that we can hang our hat on.
No Ed Hardy, no Von Dutch. I'm in the clear.
I don't even think that shit ever hit Evansville, so we never even had a chance to wear it.
It did. It's still at the bars with 42
Oh, wait,
year old guys.
maybe it's coming. Maybe it just got here.
Affliction T-shirts too.
All right, Nick, your pick.
No, it's Ian's pick. I just picked the Matines.
Oh, you picked the Matines. I thought Ian picked the Matines. I'm sorry. Ian, go ahead.
Yeah, he was attempting to jerk me on that one, which, solid play. My pick, so this is a bit of a tough one. I want to have a team that's actually would beat all your guys' teams in a game. So
that was always important to you throughout this whole process. Like you never stopped on that.
A little short right now, Ian.
Exactly. That's why with my 4th round pick, I'm selecting Greg Oden and the Zoom LeBron 4 PE.
Good one.
I got the chance to see Greg Oden play when I was at Michigan State, and it felt like how I'm sure it was to see Pat Ewing at Georgetown. He was phenomenal. He actually was at Michigan State's welcome week after being drafted by the Portland Trailblazers. Oh, shit. Yeah, for those who do not have video, Nick actually has it in his hand right now.
It's a good one, though.
And, here's a question. Better miss dunk. Ed Coded a Vince Carter off the backboard or Greg Oden's would-be dunk against Florida?
Everybody in Indiana would tell you Victor Oladipo's dunk attempt versus Michigan at IU in 2013 would be way up there too.
That's exactly where I was headed. Thank you, Dan.
We had Steve Alford played at IU too, by the way.
Hey, shirtless Steve Alford is looking directly in my eyes this entire draft.
Yeah, those are up there.
Those are wild. So, Nick, I was on your Instagram a few days ago, and I saw your post that had the Oregon LeBron 2s in it.
Yep.
Right. LeBron 2s, like I'm not a big LeBron guy on the shoe front, but the LeBron 2s are some of the most underappreciated LeBrons, my opinion.
Yeah, those, and they were so good to play in too.
Amazing. Loved them. I had the white with the navy, the all-star color. Or no, the all-star colorway was the gray, I think, maybe.
Great. My favorite about that shoe was it was like spear liner, full zoom, great grip, great leather. They were $125.
I know.
And
I
all
still
those bonds are like $200 now and like all stiff and clunky, not even close.
Well, then it seemed to me like the LeBron line, for good reason, was geared towards a dude that's 6'8" and 285 pounds to play basketball in. But that's not made for 5'10", 185-pound Josh Barnett walking around the streets of Evansville, Indiana, just trying to get a good look off.
3-point line looks like either.
I played in the LeBron 4s once, and my calves were on fire, and that was that. So yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah.
I had the ones. I thought the ones are pretty good too for a first shoe.
Yeah. Zoom generation.
Yeah, the first two were incredible, and then after the three, it got a little clunky.
That's exactly what I think too.
What I could go because it's my pick, right?
I've lost all track. I don't even know what's been picked or anything.
Take it back to me.
Oh,
but I don't think you're gonna have this pick, so you should be in the clear. But this is my last pick though, right?
Yeah. I might need a sixth man. We might need to do a sixth man.
No, six back to Ian. You get 2 picks.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, that's right. So this is the start of the last round, right?
Yeah. So this is your last pick, Ian.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay right in that space, and I'm going to in that same year. I'm actually gonna go the Air Jordan 8 Aqua on Michael Beasley.
Nice.
I was considering Jason Capono or Antoine Walker as my stretch 4, but in respect to shorts, I think those Kansas State ironically they should be called the cat scratch shorts because of like the visual.
They actually had cat scratch on them.
Yeah, I think those are among the best college basketball shorts ever made. So I'm going to go with Super Cool Bees. Shout out Bill Walker as well.
Ooh, good name drop.
I saw Bill Walker in high school with OJ Mayo. Drove over to Cincinnati and watched those two dudes play against Oak Hill, actually. And I think Beasley was at Oak Hill, so I got to see all them dudes play. It was wild.
Yeah. Wow. I was definitely on the record saying I would have picked Michael Beasley number 1 over D Rose. No questions asked, but not every prediction's great. All right. My pick, I'm going to go with James Flight White. Orange Hyper Flights at Florida. I love the Hyper Flights. I got a couple behind me. I wore the red pair in high school. Everybody called me Dorothy. It was embarrassing, but to me,
who's laughing now, though, Nick? Who is laughing now?
One of the best designs ever. The orange one was sick because I think it was only Florida that I really remember wearing them. I don't know if anybody from Syracuse wore them. A lot of guys wore the reds and some of the other colors, but that orange one, like orange and the yellow, stood up close. So that pair for me is sick.
I had Corey Brewer on my board with those as well. Flight White's sick quick, though.
That was kind of where Scoop left off in Soul Provider, was with that model. And he kind of frames it as, this is kind of like the future of shoes. This is where, shit's headed because of the tech and the look and the visual stuff, and the pics on it are dope.
Yeah, I love how they ruined all those pairs where they dipped them in the paint. That was such a great photo shoot too.
Yeah.
Can we also all agree that the Hyperflight is an absolutely atrocious shoe to play in? It's one of my all-time favorites. I have the baby blue ones. I got them the day they released when I was in 8th grade. Somewhere between 7th and 8th grade. They were worn when I was cut from my 8th grade team, which is not so tight. Actually, ironically enough, I had a Duke sweatshirt on too, so that didn't make much sense. But did you guys ever have a chance to play in the Hyperflights?
So I lifeguarded the whole summer. It's the first shoe I bought with no money, and I bought them on Eastbay 2.5 months early on pre-order, thinking they were going to be impossible to get. And I bought a 14, and they ran big, and I was pretty much a size 13. So not only was it an unstable bad shoe, but they were like super loose. So I would double sock like thick sock just to get the fit somewhat close. That was a horrible idea. Terrible.
That's what I was going to say. You got to double up those socks and get the thick ones too.
I doubled up socks with the Jordan 23s for like 3 straight years to play in.
Ooh. Side? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally bushed like the outside of my toe, like my pinky toe is terrible. But I didn't mind playing them. I thought they were sturdy. I didn't mind them at all.
Once your toe was rubbed raw, then they were great.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, small price to pay.
All right,
Daniel, you up?
All right. So if we're gonna go this whole thing and never pick Carolina, I have to go the Tins, Jerry Stackhouse.
Oh,
motherfucker!
I thought you were going Big Sean May and Rashad with the 13s, but I like that pick.
That's a tough, because I think you could make an argument that the Columbia Blue 11s with Carolina are up there with everybody, but it's hard to. It's when they go 1 overall with Allen Iverson and Georgetown, it's hard to argue that. But the Tins with Stackhouse.
Yeah, I loved in the City Pack that was kind of like the other one that they added in, like of that color block. So that's an awesome pick. Those are great.
And those uniforms that Stackhouse had, just like, I think it was a time where Nike and they released those uniform designs. So everybody in high school basketball had the Cincinnati jerseys. And then Wrights even had, when you left Barnett, went to the Carolina design on the side up the shorts and that. And so
those uniforms are great. The early 90s, mid 90s, Nike just killed it on uniform design, and it was all unique. We didn't have that stupid ass system of address or whatever it is that they call it, and where everybody looks the same. And yeah, and everybody was unique. And then like that's why that stuff's so desired. And it's honestly, to be honest with you guys, it's why I have a company, because people want that shit to be brought back, and they want to buy it again. They want to see all that stuff come back. So Carolina would obviously be a huge feather in our cap, and we're working on it now. But Yeah, those 10s, dude. I bought those 10s and wore them to 8th grade graduation with a 3-piece suit, and I still have pictures of it and stuff. And I'll forever love those 10s. And I have not bought the when they retroed them. I didn't buy them yet, but I look for them every now and again. I'm gonna try to get a deal on them.
So I hooped in the Lady Liberty 10s, and they're probably one of my top 5 basketball shoes just to play in. I don't know
Crazy
why.
comfortable.
Lady Liberty 10s.
Good grip. Steel 10s 05 were one of my favorite retros to play in. On the subject of North Carolina, I had Joe Forte and the Air Jordan 15s on my board. And I will defend Nike's system of dress. The Florida
unsuccessfully.
I mean, the thing that got me off Nike's system of dress is when I moved to Texas, it was so hot that playing basketball outside and shorts were so big and baggy, they would literally fall down as I basically moved down the brakes. So Nick is still a baggy basketball short guy. I've since gone to above the knee cut, but fortunately my size medium system dress shorts still fit a 6'3" Nick. So they were
2X
very
everything. 2X everything. No show socks.
Yes, I'm a no-show sock guy for sure.
Nick, I got a bunch of XXL Nike like Nova and Syracuse and shit that I'm getting ready to throw up on eBay. I'll just throw them in a package to you, and they can come out. You got them, man. They're yours. Whether you want them or not, it's not your decision now. They're coming. That's
the binding deal.
Verbal bets are binding, sir.
No, you're getting the fucking shorts, okay? They're coming, all right? All right, so is it up to me to cap it?
The final pick.
The final pick. So I felt like I needed to go old school and give a little love to some of the pairs that we haven't mentioned. Obviously, you get the Converse Pros and things like that, where, again, these student athletes didn't have much to choose from, but this shoe was so good that they put it on the sleeve of an undershirt for a certain big man that played at Georgetown. Everybody's got all this Georgetown stuff on. Is Georgetown still available, right?
Yes.
How funny would that be if it wasn't at this point?
Well, I've already went all in, so it was getting picked anyways. It's my podcast. The hell with it.
Ian picked Victor Page in the 3rd round.
Yeah. Love Victor Page, man. Love him. You want to? So our pod's called high volume shooters is what we call ourselves. You want to talk about a high volume shooter? Victor Page. That's your guy. I'm
an all-time high volume shooter fan. Ricky Davis, one of my favorite players ever. So
absolutely.
That's awesome.
Remember when he went and tossed the ball off the backboard to get that extra rebound for that triple double?
Should have gave it to him.
So I have a great Bill Self story from his days at Oklahoma State when he was playing. It's kind of similar to the Ricky Davis thing. One of their guys was telling me that they had like an older dude that kept the stats, and so it was Bill's senior night game there. And so when he finally checked out the scores, the guy at the score table was like, "Hey, Bill," he's like, I hooked you up with 3 extra assists so you get that triple double. And he was like, just like you told me to. Basically, like they had planned it out. Like, if I get close enough, pad these stats a little bit because I want a triple double on senior night. And so the guy said that they saw Bill took the statistician guy out. Now he's in college, takes the statistician out, and he paid for his beers the whole night at the bar. Of
course.
Hooking him up with the triple double.
That's funny.
So anyways, my shoe is the Nike Legend Georgetown 84 Patrick Ewing. The shoe is kind of unremarkable, but it was good enough that Nike was like, hey, let's market this and put it on Patrick Ewing's undershirt. So on his undershirt, on the sleeve of it was the silhouette and an actual little logo of the shoe. And so I figured if a shoe is good enough to be put on a player twice, it's good enough to make this draft.
I like it. Do we have a all-time best and all-time worst undershirts in college basketball?
IU, hands down, has the worst undershirts in the history of college basketball. You can start and stop your list with Indiana basketball.
I have AJ Moye on the better end.
Way up there.
Oh man, that shit came down past his elbows.
I like that. I'm much more like, to me, the best undershirts are AJ Moye, you know what I mean? the worst is Anthony Davis or anything that's like
super snug.
It's like an Affliction shirt.
I like the O'Bannon brothers. They had some long shirts.
I did too.
Yes.
So
I just love the O'Bannon brothers in general. I love them, dude.
The one shoe I was gonna say that came up a bunch was the Shock BB4, and it's like everybody in the early 2000s has it. Like
I absolutely hated that shoe.
I know, but
I tore my ACL 2 weeks before my senior season in that shoe.
Ooh. See, Dan, why are you pissing off our guests, man?
I mean, you fucking came out and want to talk about ripping up with Kenyon Martin. Hey, Dan, take that down. We got to talk about injuries. We can put Nick DePaula on there. We're good.
Dan, do I need to remind you made a fake pick during this draft?
I was not projecting number one pick like Kenyon. So very
From the front of that shoe, it looks like it's the Pippen, the Marcus Camby one.
Oh, the way up looks like
you mean Penny one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they have that same wing. Yeah.
It's similar. Yep. And that shoe that you were calling out, that was worn across the board in college basketball too. Tons of teams wore that shit, and in the NBA too. Pippen wore it.
The way up was great.
I thought for sure, Barnett, you'd go Pippen to Maryland.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like I needed to give some love to Georgetown, to Pat Ewing. We got some Georgetown stuff coming up. They're a new license by 99. There's a plug for you.
That's huge.
Drew Good and VC Shocks would also been a sick pick. I don't know how rabid the comment section is, but I do think it's worth mentioning that the Adjust Force, the Nike Dunk.
So I had the Ed Cota Carolina Adjust Force with the logo on the strap. That was on here because that was like one of the few that had that. They actually had the PE logo on the strap.
Right. But they had the interchangeable colors for like your normal stuff though, right?
Yeah, it was a Carolina
on the team shoes.
Strap. Yeah, Carolina strap, but it had the NC logo on the top.
Right.
Yeah, and then I'm surprised nobody picked either Keith Langford Kansas 13s or Rashad and Sean May UNC 13s.
I had Keith Langford and Kansas 13s on my board. Apparently, Keith still has his pair. I think Keith he stays in Cedar Park. He stays just north of Austin. And Sean May Air Jordan 18 PE.
Yeah,
I was gonna go Kamikaze St. John's.
Yeah,
that was like my one. That was my first one I pulled because my brother-in-law, we were going back and forth. He played basketball at a D2 school here, and I said, "Give me your best one." And so he sends me a picture of him tipping off in the Carmines. He's like, "Put this on there."
He wanted a plug. He wanted in on the draft. That's funny.
He did, literally, like I sent him the St. John's Kamikaze, and then he sends me back him tipping off for a USI basketball game with 87 people in the stands.
So Nick and Ian, I wanted to ask you because I had on my list and I didn't get to, but we have a Ray Allen quota on this podcast where we have to mention Ray Allen at least once every podcast, along with Steve Alford, who's already hit his quota. But the Air Thrill Flight that Ray Allen used to wear at UConn is one of like the lesser known shoes that he wore because everybody associates him with the up-tempos, the Obsidian up-tempos. But I had those Air Thrill Flights and loved them, and I thought they looked so
good. That color?
Yes, I had his color.
The black Thrill Flight was my first pair of Nikes.
Really?
Yeah, there was because I always wanted the Zoom Flight.
Yes,
Jason was my guy.
Yeah,
like
crazy.
Zoom Flight 95 is the best shoe ever.
Yeah, they're dope.
Too expensive, so I got the Thrill Flights for $58 at JCPenney. I had to chip in $18. And
yeah, so
I wore them like my sock was sticking out the toe. Like the whole forefoot was just gone. It was like the whole forefoot was foam. It was just like foam on concrete. But I love that shoe. Those are
all right. I'm going to show you guys if you guys can see this.
Oh wow!
Oh god!
That's me in 5th grade.
So I tried to carve a third cylinder into my Thrill Flights to make it look like the Zooms.
That's awesome. Those Thrill Flights. So the Thrill Flights matched up. The ones that Ray Allen wore matched we had basically the same color scheme minus the red in high school. So I wore them with that because those Thrill Flights were white and navy, the ones that I had. They were crazy. They were
so Ray and Reggie wore the white navy, and then Gary Payton wore the all white with the green accents.
Yes, I remember those too.
My guy in Sac, Mitch Richmond, he wore the black pair, so that's my justification to what made them so cool. But the Zoom flight, to me, like the fact you had the black and carbon fibers, that's amazing, man. Those are amazing. That's a great shoe.
So there's a picture of Ray Allen in like a photo shoot wearing the Air Max Sensations, which is my brother John's favorite shoe of all time because he's
white navy or black, white, red?
White and navy.
Yeah.
So I just got a Big East program. We're doing some work with the Big East too to celebrate this upcoming season, and UConn joining back with the Big East. And so I ordered some old Big East programs just to sort through and try to find some ideas from some design ideas and stuff. And Ray Allen's on the cover of one with Kerry Kittles wearing those Air Thrill flights. And I had not thought about those shoes in probably 10 years until, 4 days ago or whatever. And then this whole thing came up. So that's probably my one regret, I guess, from the draft, not getting those.
Was there, like, for you guys growing up, it sounds like Ray Allen might be yours, Josh, but like, was there a college player who you like really identified with or tried to model your game after?
No, I just shot threes.
Every IU basketball player, Kyle Hornsby, all these guys that can just.
No, I was young, man. Steve Alford was always like my idol because I was like 7 years old when we won the national championship. And so like I'd go to the barber and tell him like I want the Steve Alford haircut, which he still has today. But then like Ray Allen, Stephon Marbury, Iverson, to me that like mid 90s was just like golden era for me. Yeah. I loved all those dudes. I loved IU, but I loved every team and I just loved those players and stories. So I just couldn't get enough of it. I was just ate up with it. How about you?
I mean, for me, definitely Ed Cota was up there. Khalid El-Amin, as we discussed with Ty, and Jamal Crawford. I did play Charlie Bell one-on-one. I challenged him to a game when he was at Michigan State, and I was in 5th grade. He defeated me 2-0.
He can defend. That dude could defend his ass off, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He took away my right, I believe, and forced me left, and I didn't stand much of a chance. Of note, too, he had on, I'll never forget, he had on these like mesh Michigan State Reebok practice shorts that had kind of like a faint plaid print to them. I've never seen them since, but
interesting.
Yeah.
How about you, Nick? Growing up, icons, idols.
Kid was my guy. I grew up in Sac, so seeing him was amazing. And then it was weird because I always liked point guards, but all the guys I loved that were college guys were scorers.
Yeah.
So Trajan Langdon, like all the UNC guys, like they weren't necessarily points, but and then I loved the Arizona guys like Miles Simon and even Gill and all those kind of guys.
Yeah, Bibby was a big guy too for me. I was obsessed with Mike Bibby.
Yeah, they
also had very good haircuts.
He did.
Team Dime. Wasn't that Bibby? Bibby was Team Dime, right? Yeah. Him and all his boys.
Oh, yeah.
Dan?
This is sad, but so I have two brothers and there's 5 boy cousins in my family around the same age within like 5 or 6 years of each other. So we all were members of the Fab Five, and I was stuck being Ray Jackson. Like the forgotten Fab Five member is who I am. Because
Dan, can you sit over on the bench and pretend to be Rob Pelinka, please?
Yes, that's what happened. Ray Jackson, but Trajan Langdon for me was like a guy. Like I'm a big Michigan fan, but there's a time in the early to mid '90s they weren't very. I mean, like late in the mid '90s through early 2000s, they were pretty bad. After '90s, I don't know. They got a little trashy in the mid when they got in trouble. But I love Trajan Langdon. I thought the Alaskan Assassin, I thought was the coolest name ever.
Yeah, he was dope. Sweet stroke, dude. Sweet stroke. I got a lefty. My son's lefty, and I need to develop that Calbert Chaney sweet pull up J.
I can't believe somebody picked the denim Kentuckys.
No, I had them, man. That was one highlighted too. I get a shit ton of requests for the Kentucky denim shorts too. So if we get licensing with Kentucky, which I think we will, we'll bring those back. But guys, listen, I really appreciate y'all taking the time, sitting down and doing this and getting ready for the last dance down here. But honestly, can't thank you all enough. Minus you, Dan. I knew you'd be a part of this. No problem. But no, seriously, thank you guys for joining. Hopefully we can do it again. And if we can restructure something or do something that goes in another angle too, is a lot of fun. So I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, fellas.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the 19.9 podcast with HVS, the High Volume Shooters. For more information, check out the blog at 199.com under HVS. And while you're there, do yourself a favor and pick up some retro college shorts. Till next time.